All right, so we got Ritchie Ritchie, I guess. I don't know. SH. And he says Ashes of Creation will release in 2023. Bro, I fucking wish it would be such a good time to release. Because no new expansions of any game are coming out at that time. Just patches. So I'm totally down. Anyways, let's see what Ritchie SH has to say about it. Ritchie SH.
So I know most of you reading the title for this video are probably thinking I'm crazy, expecting Ashes of Creation to launch in 2023. Because looking at the development time of this game, it just kind of seems insane. They've been doing
the other thing is the game looks more ready than some games that... this pre-alpha looks more ready than some games that are released. Right? It's not a high bar to say, but yeah.
It for years, and it feels like there's no end in sight. But hear me out. Let's first point out that Ashes of Creation started its development way back in 2015 when Intrepid hired its first members to work on the game. So it's been at least 7 years of active development, and we have been seeing
it's hard to say because first of all, when they just started, they were such a small team, and compared to like the size of the game of what they're trying to accomplish, I would say the first half year of laying the groundwork with that small team amounted to maybe like a month of work with a big team, you know? So it's hard to say.
In-game footage of the world since 2017. So for a while now, I've had this theory that the world map is actually pretty complete for the game. I don't mean completely filled to the brim with content yet, but at least has its basic structures laid out. Which we even know is true because we've got the updated world map, and Steven said they even took a lot of information out of this, giving details about the world. Which we would assume this would mean like starting zones and dungeons and all of that. Also, in some of the older pre-alpha gameplay, we see a ton of the zones, some familiar and a lot that we have not seen in any alpha.
I think it would be cool if they release not necessarily like a not ready game, but for example, let's look at the map again, right? Okay. So let's say you can only play on this zone. Like you release the game, and then in another patch you'll release this, and like in this zone you can only play certain races. So when this area releases, you'll be able to play the other races and stuff like that, and then you can choose where to start and stuff like that, right? I would be fine with it, given that it won't take too long to release this content, right? But it's like kind of like ship whatever is ready, and that should be enough for now, right? You can also do like this is a super high level zone and this is like beginner zone, obviously. I'm not saying this is the optimal, but I'm saying like a lot of people would still be happy with it as long as the game is good with what they release. And then shortly after, this area would be released when it's ready, and that would also make people also stay for longer. So all the ones who have the super hype to start as soon as possible will play this, and just as they're about to like, okay, I had enough, boom, more content, like more massive content release, you know, something like that, and like that can retain players for a lot longer. But again, not a pro at this. Obviously, I would prefer overall for it to release altogether a fully ready game, but take into account that's like, let's say, how long would take a regular player to go from like 1 to like max level? Let's say it takes him like in this game 3-4 months, right? Not the hardcore grinders that can play 22 hours a day, sleep 2 hours, load up on caffeine and all the juices just to play the game, and they don't go to the gym, they don't have a job, right? Not those guys. Regular people who can play 3 to 4 months, it will take them. So around when the average player reaches, like, let's say level 30, if let's say 60 is the max, boom, new area releases with new zones, new starting experience, new races and all that stuff, and you're like, oh shit, maybe I should try that, you know? But not the ideal situation, but I feel like with how starved people are for a good MMORPG. Like I wouldn't even mind at
and
this point.
dungeons and all of that. Also, in some of the older pre-alpha gameplay, we see a ton of the zones, some familiar, and a lot that we have not seen in any alpha testing or gameplay. And if you go through it, there is a huge amount of the world actually shown in the last 7 years.
Holy, look at this place. What is this?
Seen the desert biome in its pre-alpha form way back in the Nodes 2 video, and I'm convinced that after 7 years, Intrepid has the majority of the map down when it comes to terrain, and the art department is just going through the phases now of updating the art. We've seen numerous dungeons through environment previews, gameplay, all the way from pre-alpha to alpha 1, and we have even seen the PvP arenas. Yes, a lot of this is from older footage, but they are built, and really all Intrepid would need to do is go back with the art team and update the textures and potentially add new props to meet the current standards. We have seen a lot of the core features working as well in the past. We saw sieges in Alpha 1, although not in open...
I wonder if they're gonna bring Armageddon as a PvP option. I feel like that would be fine, honestly. Like, who cares? It's just an option. They already designed it, and it's like one of the easiest things to design is a battle royale, apparently. So they're like, they can have it as like another PvP option. Doesn't have to be ranking or anything like that, but just like another fun PvP option.
World yet in an instance
J-Daddy.
We do know that Intrepid has had castle sieges in the world at one point before Alpha 1 being tested.
Yeah.
We've also seen nodes working up to stage 3 in Alpha 1, and Steven said a few months ago that all of node perks and building types for the 4 types of nodes have been done for a while, and we're in the testing phase. And if all the perks and the buildings are done, then they more than likely have nodes working up through the Metropolis stages as well. If you haven't noticed, Intrepid does a lot of passes on the art department, making the game look better and better. We've seen this a few times, such as the Curse Charger, for example, as Steven showed a few live streams ago, the updated models as they're going back through the older models and giving them a more modern look. And you can even see it from the Alpha 1 gameplay to the Alpha 2, as the world looks much better since it had the Unreal 5 switch. This really shows with...
Yeah, this really doesn't look that good, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it looks fine, don't get me wrong, but compared to this, it really doesn't look that good. Even like the font looks weird.
The races as well. The humans alone seem to have gone through 4 phases that we know of, really showing the updates over the years, and we know a lot of the other races as well have had updates this year alone, which leads to my next point of being the majority of the races at this point are either close to or implemented into the world of Vera. This is key for world development because you need these races in the games with the starting zones and the cities and all of that to make the world feel populated with the NPCs. And when I say complete, I don't mean they're 100% customizable, but at least the base race is there. We have seen models for just about all of the races with the exception of the Tolnar, and we have yet to see the updated Renkai, Nikua, and the humans, but we know they're coming very soon as we've seen the concept in the last streams, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see them next month. We've also seen 5 out of 8 of the class archetypes so far, leaving out the Rogue, the Summoner, and the Bard, and honestly, I would imagine this is one of the more challenging things to nail down, making sure each ability, each stat, and each animation all works properly together, along with being balanced out with the 64 class combination.
Let's be real, it will never be balanced. There's no doubt in my mind that the characters, 64 different fucking classes, are never going to be balanced. But I feel like that's fine. If there is no super hardcore end game meta, I don't care if it's not balanced. If you can change on the fly, I don't care if it's not balanced. I'm totally fine with it.
We have even seen some of these combinations, such as the Weapon Master, which Steven was playing with in the basic melee weapon preview, and we've even seen the Scout way back in some pre-alpha gameplay. So I imagine Intrepid has how they want each of these classes to perform pretty locked down at this point. Really, the only thing we're missing now is naval content, crafting, and the remaining classes from a feature standpoint that we know of. We know
I don't think, like, again, the naval combat, you can add it later, right? It's like, I don't know how much of a major part of the game it would be, but you can add that later, right? Like, these are things that's like, they will not interfere with the main game. And also, by later, I don't mean like a year after. I mean, like, naval combat unlocks at level 30. How long will it take most players to reach from 1 to 30? 3 months. Okay, we got 3 months after the release to finish off the naval combat. You know, that's kind of what I mean.
The world is already being filled with questing. There's questing in Alpha 1. They have caravans working, they have sieges working, they have the nodes working. The biggest feature I think that's left for Intrepid to nail down would be the naval content, and crafting following right behind it. So what exactly is holding up the game then? Well, I think hiring for one. If you follow Ashes of Creation on social media, you'll know they have tons of jobs posted almost every week, and they're
Jesus. Bro, like, I wish I was a game dev sometimes. I would love to work on this game.
There have been a few on there that have yet to be filled even after months, and Margaret even tweeted those specific jobs on her personal Twitter last night, probably trying to get some more traction on them. So if you need a job, you know where to look. One of these jobs though is for the senior economy designer, which the economy will be a big part of the game, and I can see this potentially holding up a bit of the development, trying to get the right person in on this to get the economy nailed down. Combat is another system I think that's holding this
economy
up.
would be a massive thing that you would need to nail down, because if the economy is fucked, the whole game will be fucked basically, and you can't just reset the economy because some people got ahead. Yeah, there should be, first of all, forget that there needs to be someone proper on top of the economy. You will need a lot of testing to see that there are no ways to abuse the economy as well.
We've known for months
now. Though, that being said, I practically never participate in the economy of a game. I just know how big of a part it is for a lot of players.
Is getting revamped, and we've seen the melee and the ranged combat updates, but there is no way Intrepid would even open up spot testing for Alpha 2 before this is finalized. But I imagine it's getting close now, and once that beast is out of the way, I think things will really start to speed up. Class spells and abilities are one of the big things that will need fine-tuning and plenty of player input, which we won't be able to test properly until the combat is finished. But you can bet this will be a big part of the testing. Alpha 2 will be a huge deal when it comes to the promotion for the game, from content creators and bringing new people on board, so you want this game to be as polished as it can be going into Alpha 2. The Alpha will obviously still have bugs and unfinished features, but not as much as Alpha 1, because this is really the big reveal to the world that the game is working as promised. Alpha 2 is said to be persistent through launch as well, so you really want things to be semi-polished before the Alpha even starts, as you don't want to be stuck in the Alpha stages forever, or people will lose interest, especially when you have the majority of the content shown throughout YouTube. So my theory here, and bear with me, it's just a theory, but I bet we will see Alpha testing dates.
I would have loved it if the mobs did not have auto aim. Like the PvE mobs did not have auto aim, because that leaves possibility for dodge tanks, kind of like how warriors were in Terra Online, where you will, like, warrior is basically a dodge tank. Like you had Berserker, I think, was just like a straight up tank. You would take damage. I think you had a paladin, like shield, like sword and shield, but then you had warrior dual wielding, and he would just have to dodge attacks, even though the attacks in Terra were like auto aim. But what I want to see is, like, you saw how like that mob was casting on him, and it doesn't matter what he does, the mob will always hit him. I would love it if you could actually actively dodge those attacks, not necessarily with like a dodge button, but just like sidestepping and shit. Same with like actual action combat, you know what I mean? Like basically Elden Ring type combat, right? To an extent, but only with like mostly with ranged abilities. Like ranged abilities being locked onto target, kinda, I don't like it. And the problem is with the dodge rolling, there's a cooldown on that, right? So you can't just keep dodge rolling.
It's announced in December for Q1 of 2023. Obviously, it'll be persistent from here, and the game will be constantly being updated throughout the Alpha 2 and tweaked as they listen to feedback. And I bet this will happen through Q2, and in Q3 of 2023, we will get betas 1 and 2. It's even said that the beta phases will be short and sweet. At this point, the betas are the final polished stage of the game.
Bro, that ability though, this ability, what he just did, is gonna be so overpowered. At this point, look at this shit.
Are the final polished stage of the game.
What I want to know is, if let's say these guys stood here by the wall, if I did that, would I be able to jump onto that wall? That's what I want to know.
The game will be pretty close to done, which would lead to the launch window being somewhere in Q4 of 2023. I'm sure I won't convince a lot of you, but I am very confident that once the combat is done by the end of this year, things will really start to move quickly.
God damn, that
Alpha
ability
2.
is so good.
Do you think we'll see the launch of Ashes of Creation next year? Drop a comment down below, and if you're new to Ashes and have yet to create an account, feel free to use my referral link in the description below, where you can jump in on the forums, buy some cosmetics, or just be ready for when the game finally launches. Otherwise, be sure to click that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up, turn on the bell for notifications, and stay tuned for a lot more to come.
Sick. Page from New World's playbook, gathering update break. the what's it called? The image, bro. The New World with the angry eyes. I love it. Alright, that's the video by Ritchie SH. Pretty good video overall. I don't know, man. I don't know about 2023. I hope? Yeah, and like, but that's all I can do. I can hope until Steven confirms it. But it didn't play. People already say it's like 2024, right? It's like the assumption is 2024 anyways. So even if it says 2023, like what's gonna be end of 2023, I feel like they should avoid releasing on 2024 because that's when new WoW expansion would come out. I know it's at the end of the year, but like a Final Fantasy expansion. Actually, never mind. Final Fantasy expansion is 2023. Right, so, you know, ideally they don't release near an expansion. And as far as I know, for what it's worth, Final Fantasy doesn't release its expansions on purpose to stifle other games, which is cool. World of Warcraft will release something near Ashes of Creation, 100%. Ashes of Creation are gonna say we're doing alpha in this phase. You'll see World of Warcraft is gonna release something to do on those couple of weeks of alpha or something like that. They always do it, so we'll see. And the thing is, though, this is the funniest thing. Once WoW announces they're gonna do something, they can't take it back. Ashes of Creation be like, we're gonna delay the alpha by 2 weeks, and then it's like, WoW is fucked. Or like by a month, like they did last time. But yeah. Anyways, we'll see what happens. 2023 would be a pretty cool time, but honestly, I doubt it's already end of 2022. Holy shit, time flies. But yeah, anyways, that's the video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and also sub to Ritchie SH and like his video. Peace. See you in the next one.